Hey there, it's your boy Foxy, back for more relationship stories. Update. Am I wrong for asking my boyfriend to charge his family member for fraud? Original post. Backstory: I 27 female and my boyfriend 34 male have been together 5 years and have worked really hard to save for a house. 2 weeks ago, we fell in love with a house and we put down an initial deposit to hold the property, as the house won't be built until end of 2022. We have been in talks with a mortgage broker and the builder's finance people. But last week, we received some shocking news when my boyfriend's credit score came back as being bad. There was activity on the statement that was 100% not his, and a credit card that has gone into default over the last 6 months. This credit card was originally my boyfriend's, but he swears he closed the account and canceled the card mid-2019. Long story short, we discovered that a family member that was living with him a few years ago has gotten a hold of the card at some point and has been using the card on and off since 2019. They defaulted on payments in early 2020 but paid this off, then defaulted again in December of last year, and the account is still in default and over $5,000 is owed in charges and late fees. Charges for shopping, news agency, takeaway food, and pubs for gambling. My boyfriend has had zero knowledge of this, as he hasn't had access to the account after he closed it, and hasn't been receiving statements or notices from the bank because the family member has diverted these to their address. We're now unable to successfully apply for a bank loan for our house, as they won't lend to my boyfriend with his credit the way it is. And now our options are 2. 1. Proceed with fraud investigations and charges in the family member, allowing us to prove this is of no fault of my boyfriend's and successfully secure the loan. Or 2. Boyfriend pays the debt and we wait at least 2 years from the payoff date for his credit to regain some loss. Option 2 sets us back at least 3 years in starting a family and our lives as homeowners. This will also not allow my boyfriend to secure a bank loan to start up his own business he's been dreaming of starting for a few years. This was the year he planned on. This has devastated us and put a massive delay in our plans, but my boyfriend doesn't like conflict and is going with option 2. He isn't even planning on mentioning anything to that family member. He just wants it to all go away and thinks this family member is going through a rough time. I want my boyfriend to proceed with fraud charges and investigation. We have worked too hard to not have our dream house and him owning his own business. So am I wrong for pushing my opinion on my boyfriend? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not wrong. But is this really someone you want to build a life with, having this kind of baggage? He's willing to pay off a debt incurred by someone fraudulently and not even address it with that person. What happens if this person does it again? He's already taught them that there's no consequences if they spend money they don't have. And then it will be tied to you as well. You need to think long and hard about whether this is something you want to deal with long term. I do think it's odd he's willing to pay for it and not address it with the person that incurred the debt. Are you sure the person didn't have permission to keep using it as long as they paid the bill? I have had these exact thoughts and am still battling with myself on what decision I make going forward. Because I agree, I'm not willing to let this person potentially do this again, and it becomes my issue. My boyfriend swears to me he had no knowledge of this. He wouldn't have agreed to let this family member use the card, as he knows this person isn't good with money. My conversation would go something like this with my partner. While I understand how you don't want conflict, this decision does not affect only your life, but also mine. This delays us significantly in getting a home, having a child which you mentioned, and starting a life together. If you are not willing to put our life above disrupting someone who had no compassion or thought for you while doing something very illegal, then I will seriously need to reconsider our future going forward. It definitely sucks, but this isn't a small thing with minor consequences. You are directly impacted. 100% not wrong. Your boyfriend would be the bad guy if he chooses option 2. Been there, done that, with a family member destroying my credit, stealing money out of my bank accounts, writing bad checks, stealing my engagement and wedding ring to pawn it that I had to pay to get out on the last day. He needs to report in order to fight with credit agencies and attempt to get these debts resolved. Also, place a fraud alert and lock his credit report so no one else can use his identity. Not wrong. We have already put a lock on his credit so no more charges or inquiries can be added to his account. This person has also used my boyfriend's identity to apply for payday loans. The credit card account has been locked too, and card has been frozen. I feel right now it's still really fresh. We've known all of 2 days. I don't think my boyfriend is thinking clearly. Because it's not just the credit card lowering his score, it's all the other inquiries that have been made too. He needs the fraud report evidence to fight the rest too. Why does he want to protect someone that is actively ruining him? If he won't fight for you now, will he later? He had valid concerns for his mother's health as she has heart issues, and he is worried the stress of this may lead to her death if he causes rifts in the family. He isn't the one who caused the rift, but he could very well cause a rift in his relationship with you if he doesn't act. He's being a doormat and has no concern for the fact that his inaction is directly harming you too. You'll have to ask yourself if you want to start a family who won't stand up for you. Will he also not stand up for your children? Hey OP, are you sure this family member wouldn't persuade your boyfriend to give them a job or make them a partner when he starts his own business? That's a good point. No, I'm not sure at all. Probably would, if they needed it. My boyfriend has a huge heart and is very giving and generous with his family. This is not reciprocated though from them to him, which saddens me too. And now for the update. I want to begin by thanking everyone for their advice on my original post. There were some really constructive strategies and words of advice. I spoke with my boyfriend about my concerns and was honest with him that things he was telling me didn't all make sense. He was adamant he didn't know anything about the credit card or the apparent inquiries on his credit account about payday loans. My boyfriend is still refusing to open any fraud investigations against his family member and has said he will pay off the debt himself. But some other things came out during our conversation that he was hiding from me. Lying has been a big issue of his during our whole relationship. In the past I have forgiven him for his lies, but I can't keep forgiving the same issue every few months when he promises to change, but we're in the same spot every few months. And I'm not talking little lies. I'm talking big lies and even bigger lies to cover up those lies. I know I'm stupid for giving him the benefit of the doubt. So in saying this, my boyfriend is now my ex-boyfriend. When I spoke with my boyfriend about my concerns above, he ended up picking up his bag and walking out on me and drove away. That was the last time I seen him in person. This is how this man dealt with an issue in our 5-year relationship. We haven't spoken much since, but I have definitely resigned to the fact my relationship is over. I think he is expecting me to forgive him like all the previous times. I have packed up his stuff and will return them to him after my city comes out of our 6th lockdown. There is a good ending to this story though. I spoke with my mortgage broker and the housing developers. I can't afford the original townhouse I fell in love with alone, but a smaller townhouse that I also loved came available and I've been approved for this one. I paid my deposit 3 days before my birthday last month and I've now bought a house by myself. Congratulations. You bought a house and got rid of excess baggage. You will love owning your own space, literally and metaphorically. Thank you. I'm looking forward to it. You are so strong and admirable. I wish you so much luck and happiness. Enjoy your new life and home. Who was the family member in original post? Cousin, sibling, parents? Just curious. Glad things are good now. It was either his dad or his brother. Congrats on your home purchase. Your ex did you a favor. Now you can start fresh. Thank you. Yes, that is true. Slightly scary starting again after being in a 5-year committed relationship, when I don't know who I am outside of the relationship. Yes, you do. You're someone who can spot lies and garbage a mile away. You're also someone who doesn't stand by and takes matters into her own hands. I'm happy he left, because now you have your own house. You'll find someone better who doesn't need to lie to keep you around for 5 years, girl. Thanks. You're so right. I'm so ready to get on with life without being lied to and constantly being skeptical of everything. Not only that, but you deserve the time and space to become familiar again with the awesome person you are. Such a massive change will obviously be a lot to process and deal with, so make sure you have a support system in place, be a little selfish, do things solely because you want to, and find joy in your freedom and independence. Proud of you. Next story. Am I wrong for wanting to move after being lied to? Original post. My fiancé 31 male and I 29 female have been together for 2 years. After getting engaged 6 months ago, we decided that I would move from my downtown apartment to his 300 acres and home that he owns outright after getting it in an inheritance. His place is an hour from where I'm from in a small town, with nothing around, stores, food, etc., and the closest place to get gas is 35 minutes away. And my family is an hour and a half away, which isn't a huge deal, but it's just been an adjustment for me. When talking about the future, I explained that I always wanted to raise my children where I grew up, the suburbs. He grew up in a rural area where school system is not great, but in our decision-making, he expressed that the best thing would be to just stay in his hometown, because he will never sell his land. Then after a few odd things have been said by his family, I started to question if he even owned this property. I've seen his land taxes, but when going over his credit and taxes, there is nothing at all about his property in it. I asked him a few times about it and he acted so offended that I would even ask. I woke up this morning and couldn't shake the feeling that something was off, so I called the county assessor and found out this is his uncle's land and home, who is a widow and works out of the state. Basically, for the last 6 months, we've been house sitting. The furniture and everything are his uncle's. I confronted him today, and honestly I'm considering just leaving, but at the very least, I want us to move. We have the credit and the savings to buy a home, but he won't budge and keeps saying his uncle will probably give him the property. I feel like he manipulated me to move here, but now his best man is calling saying this is a jerk move and makes me come off as a gold digger because I'm mad he doesn't have the assets he claimed to have. So, am I wrong? Now for the top advice before reading the update. Not wrong. Your fiancé is being shady as heck. And worse, y'all might even be squatting on his uncle's property. Red flags going off, big time. Right. She's the gold digger, but he's the one hoping his uncle kicks it and leaves him a house. Not to mention that, how dare you be upset I lied to you? In order to manipulate you into uprooting your whole life, you must be a gold digger is really not the flex he thinks it is. This would be a deal breaker for me, because lying about your assets to your fiancé is a huge red flag. Not wrong. You moved in with him on the assumption that he was telling you the truth about where you were moving. There is a world of difference between moving into a boyfriend's place and moving into a place your boyfriend is house sitting and may one day inherit. Possibly. Also, the best man was an idiot for calling you a gold digger for wanting to know what was going on. Good luck with all of this. Not wrong, he's gaslighting you. It's not about you being a gold digger, it's about his lying. You guys were making future plans, and you didn't even really want to live out there. So it's not like you were with him for the house right. You need to step away and think things through. Go stay with your parents or good friend for a bit while you think it through. Think about the fact that even not owning it, it's where he wants to stay. At 31, does he have a couch, a TV, anything to contribute to a home? Or did he take advantage of the situation and smartly build up a nice nest egg or blow his income? Is living where you are, with someone waiting to get stuff for free, what you want for your future and for your kids? If you decide to walk away, what he or his friends think of you is not your problem, you do you. If you decide this is fixable, then you might as well stay in the house and save as long as you can to buy what and where you want. Ask anybody that had a decent deal going and left it to buy a house, how they wish they would have stayed even a bit longer, to save even a bit more, prepare for a new place a bit more. Thank you for the thought-out response. He has a good savings and we are both debt-free. He says his whole family even says he will get this property when it's time. I, however, am not trying to save money to build a home on someone else's property. I don't even think that's possible with permits and everything. He says that, but he said he owned the property. Have you seen the bank statements? Why are you trusting any of what he says? If it is true, unless his uncle is on his deathbed, you are not owning that house anytime soon. Uncle could get a new partner who wants to raise horses tomorrow, and you are out of a home. You really need a break from this guy to figure this out. He lied to you multiple times to manipulate you to move where he wanted to live. That is not okay. You need to think about what you actually want because he is not entertaining any kind of compromise, is willing to lie and manipulate to get exactly what he wants, and is willing to call you names when he is caught. Oh, I'm moving with or without him. But yes, I have access to his bank account and we have a savings together. I also have gone through his credit report. When we got together about 6 months in, I asked if I could look at it. He had a medical bill in collections that was like $300 and I made him pay it off. But yes, he lied. And I've said the same thing about him getting fired or finding a new love interest, etc. And now for the update. So, I know a lot of people said to take a few days and figure out what's next, but I decided last night that I am done. Especially since, like many predicted, I found out he'd been lying about more than just this. I am calling today to cancel our venue. That's $4,500 down the drain. As far as the savings, I have proof that what I took is mine. It wasn't much, but it's over $15,000, so I am confident that I can leave and have a good cushion. I have a year left of my master's program, and I work a remote job with unlimited personal time off. I'm taking the day off to pack, and my best friend and her boyfriend, who is like a brother to me, offered their guest room. I'm going to stay there and continue saving while I look for my own property that's actually mine. I hadn't done hardly any planning for our wedding, which I blamed on school and work. But now I know it was a subconscious choice. I also had a separate savings that I had started before we ever met in the event that I had to pay for my master's program. Luckily, my job is paying for that. I think that is what is most infuriating. He also has a separate savings that doesn't have as much as mine, but still, so together we have plenty of money in savings to buy land and build a home, and we are both debt-free. But that is no longer an option for me. Last night he was begging to make it work. Started saying he would move wherever I wanted and was apologizing profusely. I made him call his friend on speaker to let him know that he has been living a lie and that I'm leaving him. Thank you all for your responses. I'm meeting with my therapist this morning, and my dad will be coming this evening to help me load up all of my things. Imagine trying to convince someone to complexly upend their plans and expectations for maybe, possibly, perhaps getting a house when someone dies. And that's on top of all the lies. I had a family member assume they knew what they were inheriting. They were extremely wrong. You never ever base your entire future on a possibility. Even if it's written into the will, wills can be changed. We just went through this in reverse. Grandparents originally wrote for their 4 remaining children to split any remaining money, but their youngest, who's my only uncle on that side, was also inheriting their lakefront house that's nicer than the house he already had. But he and his wife never did anything for my grandparents in their declining health, despite living not even 10 minutes away from them. Long story short, they got real icky about only getting the house and land, yet all of my grandpa's nice tools and equipment they couldn't bring with them when they moved across the country, so my family could take care of them. Until my uncle's siblings got the 2 of them to shut up and be grateful they got anything at all.